A couple of months ago, I took my car in for service. The red one behind me there, the Subaru Forester. Anyway, I had to fill out some forms, of course, and one of the questions they asked was the model year of my car. And I couldn't remember. Now, some of you will appreciate this was pretty embarrassing for an American male, especially one who grew up in the 50s. Not to know the model year of your car? Back in the 50s, I could distinguish model years of cars in ways worthy of a Talmudic scholar. For example, here's a 55 Ford. Here's a 56. See any difference? It's subtle, but it's there. The swoosh on the side of the 55 is a smooth piece of chrome. In 56, Ford widened it a bit and gave it some ridges. See? Otherwise, they look identical. But to the trained eye of a 12-year-old, the small differences could be spotted a block away, easy. In 55, Ford also equipped their cars with dual exhausts. Now these duals, that's what I called them, duals, to the endless amusement of my father. Anyway, these duals have obviously been modified, but the factory car came with duals too. I found that very cool. Actually, we didn't say cool back then, we said neat. That's right, neat. Before about 54 or 55, American cars really didn't have any style. For example, my family had a 52 Plymouth Cranbrook, about this color, only we didn't have that visor thing over the windshield. I'm sure you will agree this is about the dumpiest car ever designed. Downright bulbous, no style at all. But in 1955, Chevy came out with the Bel Air, and it had some style. That rectangle on the back quarter of the car, for one thing. And instead of the dull monochrome that had been standard issue for decades, suddenly two tones were available. My favorite of the 55 Chevy was this salmon pink and charcoal gray combo. The 56 Chevys didn't look that different from the 55s, and the 57s looked similar to the 56s, and we've already noticed the similarities between the 55 and 56 Fords. But in 1957, Plymouth came out with fins, and soon they were all the rage. The whole Chrysler line flaunted fins. Here's the DeSoto. While a lot of car makers followed suit, there's no question that Cadillac achieved the ultimate in fin expression in 1959. We bought into the whole fin thing a year earlier, in 1958, when we finally got rid of the Cranbrook and bought another Plymouth, a station wagon. Unfortunately, the rear gate of the wagon design took a lot away from the uplift of the fins, but it wasn't bad. Plymouth also introduced two short-lived interior design features: the push-button automatic transmission and the rear-view mirror mounted on the dashboard. My dad complained that you couldn't see out the back of the car with the mirror mounted down there. It only lasted a year or two as a Plymouth feature, and it wouldn't pass muster today, that's for sure. This was the first car I drove. When you put that baby in gear with a firm push on the button, a loud clunk was the result. And once engaged, it was a torpid 2-speed automatic transmission. You heard me right, 2-speed. I know, today 4 or 5 speeds are common. Some manufacturers are offering 6 and even 7. This baby was a 2-speed, and it didn't matter how hard I tromped down on the gas pedal. There was no way it was ever going to burn any rubber. 1958 was also the year Chevrolet introduced the Impala. Talk about a redesign. I think this was the first time any American carmaker had actually sculpted a car. That long channel running the length of the back end, carrying through to the rear deck where it framed matching 3-bulb taillights. The outer 2 red ones were tail and brake lights, the inner white one a backup light, a recent innovation in American cars. Bruce Mills, who was a few years older than me and lived up the street, actually had one of these cars, brand new, and he really did a neat modification to the taillights. He made them all red and rewired them so they blinked sequentially inside to out when you used the turn signal.
Totally cool. While the original Impala made 1958 the zenith of American car design, Ford introduced a new model that year that was a harbinger of things to come, the Edsel. Its design innovation was a speedometer in which the pointer, a red line, was stationary, and the speed scale moved past it, like a gyroscope in oil. Seemed kind of gimmicky to me, and apparently the rest of America thought so too, because the Edsel only lasted a couple of years. After 1960, it was history. After 1958, Chevrolet blew it too. In '59, they completely redesigned their line and put these wings on their cars. Arguably more dramatic than fins, but not as elegant. The car looked like a wounded duck. What a blunder, since the Impala they'd introduced the year before was probably the best design in automotive history. Yeah, 1958, that was it.